And yet, if you stop someone in the street out there or in any other city in the world, and you said to them, who are you? Where do you come from? Where are you going when this is over? And what is the nature of reality? I went through the last few years looking at this deeper level of this conspiracy, how we're manipulated to think and perceive the way that suits the agenda. And of course, even on a simple level, if you can get the vast majority of people to perceive the European Union as a good thing, to perceive that it is the only way forward, to perceive it is their safety, to perceive it's the way to secure them economically, they'll agree to join the European Union. There'll be no problem.
There's another aspect to this, a kind of a bigger aspect, and that's when you stop self-identifying the I with the labels of a human life, a very brief human life. I am a man, I'm a woman, I'm this religion, this race, this sexuality, that sexuality. And you realize that they're just brief experiences for consciousness, which is eternal, which is infinite, which is forever exploring, well, forever.
We are different points of attention within a infinite stream of consciousness. That's who we are. You are an expression of the same stream of consciousness that I'm an expression of. You are looking at life and reality from a slightly different angle, and others will be looking at life from a very different angle, but they are the same consciousness. And we are experiencing a almost infinitesimally small, short experience in what is called a human. So what is a human? A human is a way of processing information. So the human body, the human brain, the human genetic system processes information in a certain way, and we call that human.
It's very clear that the classic Western explanation of how the universe was formed and how the solar system was formed, i.e. the Big Bang and all the rest of it, is complete nonsense. And even some mainstream scientists are now beginning to say that's the case. And I've written a lot in my latest book, and I talk about in my current presentations about the moon. And the classic mainstream scientific explanation of how the moon was formed, for instance, is ludicrous. It talks about the fact that a Mars-type planet hit the Earth when the Earth was forming, and a great chunk of the Earth broke away and became the moon, called the whack theory. And what you find when you look at what are supposed to be mainstream scientific explanations, when you take it back, you find that actually it was someone's theory back here, which then through constant repetition becomes accepted fact here, when it's nothing more than a theory. What's been missed, and what some cutting-edge people are now beginning to envelop and encompass, is the basic understanding that we are living in a virtual reality universe, like a virtual reality computer game of enormous advancement.
And when we reach that point that we call death, the consciousness that's experiencing that and having these series of experiences we call human, then withdraws from the body, I call it biological computer, which processes information in a certain way. And that's why near-death experiences, in there now millions, describe that when they leave the body, when the body dies, reality is completely different to what it is as a human. There are so many elements to this. People say, well, why haven't we known about this before? Well, I've spent 20 years in nearly 50 countries researching a great stream of different subjects, which on the face of it appear completely unconnected. And it's only when you connect these apparently
unconnectable subjects and areas of society and life, the puzzle pieces fit to the point where you can go, oh, I can see it now. Billions of people wake up every morning and they go to work, or they try to survive another day. They're not spending 20 years fitting these pieces together. So how can they see it? Until I started fitting them together, I couldn't see it. I was very skeptical of authority, always was, and the people who claim to be in power. But one of the areas, to come to your question, that I've understood more and more in the last few years has to be looked at before we can understand the true nature of what's going on in the world. And that's actually the true nature of reality, and how we can control our own reality instead of having our reality dictated to us.
When you're coming from the fact that I am the consciousness having the experience, I'm not the experience itself, that's what I'm having, that's what our labels are, then lots of things change. For instance, what people think about you, say about you or whatever, pales into insignificance because they are commenting, perceiving on a tiny little fragment of a tiny little experience called a human life. You don't become intimidated by authority, for instance.
We think we are at the cutting edge of human knowledge and everything. And yet, if you stop someone in the street out there or in any other city in the world, and you said to them, who are you? Where do you come from? Where are you going when this is over? And what is the nature of reality? And here we are, living our lives every day in this world, and we don't even know what this world is. The few who are behind the people we see, they know what this world is, and they know how the mind works. They know how, if you can control the way people think and perceive, you can completely control their lives. It's becoming more and more obvious as our freedoms are taken away, as our ability to have freedom of expression is taken away. Why do we need driverless cars? Why do we have cameras and microphones in televisions? The answer is they're there, and there's back doors into smartphones and back doors into this other smart technology, which again has come to light, which are left there so that this surveillance can take place. And what I've found on this world speaking tour since last summer, 2016, going to Australia and America and all around Europe, is more and more people, more than I've ever seen before, are starting to lift their eyes up from the game show and the sport and say, hold on a minute, what's going on?